Well, hello, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another lure session. I'm not going to say lure session for bass because that might not happen, but we are going for bass, to be fair. I'm just going to say lure session. We've got a chance of pollock, maybe even a very late mackerel. So we'll see. And I was going to put the seeker on because we're fishing fairly deep tidal area, and is it looking like I haven't brought any seekers? Oh no, I have. That would have been annoying. Good start to a trip. Although I have here. I know the one I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for this pretty garish looking fellow. That is a Savage Seeker, 23 gram in lime green. I'm sure it'll have a technical name in the marketing spiel, but that's what I'm going to call it. So we're fishing in probably, I would guess, 15-20 foot of water. Tide's ebbing, got a building tide, probably about, I don't even know what size the tide is, to be honest. But it's nice and overcast, got a light wind. I did go elsewhere and there was a bit of a strong westerly, but I've come here, it's nice and calm. I'm just going to work my way through the lures. Got my usual tail walk, 8'7", 5 to 24 gram, salty shape dash sea bass game. Don't even know if you can get these anymore, it's quite an old rod now. My trusty Shimano Vanquish 3000 MHG, 18 pound Suffix 131 Go braid, 22 pound fluoro leader tied with an FG knot. Let's see what we can do. I can see a bit of a tide rip, so I'm just going to try get me lure into it. And what I'm doing with this seeker, I'm just going to work it. I'm going to let it hit the bottom first. You can just feel when your lure hits the bottom because your rod tip will have a little arc around it and it'll just hit back like it has done there. So I'll give it a couple of turns. It's just some big sweeps. And don't put your rod tip back too quickly because on a light wind day like today, your rod tip might catch the braid and twist around. So just sink and draw and just bring your rod tip slowly so the sinker can take the lure can take the slack line in front of the rod, if that makes sense. And I'm just going to keep working it through and just let it flutter into that current up and down. I will change the depth, I'll change the way I'm retrieving it, but I can feel that lure getting pulled in that current, which is good, really good. God, there's a lot of drag on that. Actually, unless the lure's caught on itself. Oh no, I did have a fish on. Oh, I've got another one. It's just chased it straight back. There must have been two fish chasing it. Feels like a small pollock. Oh well, how about that? First cast. Quite a light pollock. See that rusty hook that I probably should have changed, to be perfectly honest. Straight out, little small pollock, bang, straight back in. Trusty tea towel from whoever's kitchen you've stolen it from, in this case my own, and out we go. Now I'd like to be catching bass today, to be honest, but fishing's fishing, I'm not going to complain, at least I haven't blanked. But if this is a pollock fest, I'll move locations because I don't mind catching pollock, but it's not really what I've come for. It's just a little tint in the water, tint of colour that is. So I'm just going to let that come through. You probably can't pick it up on the camera, but when your rod flicks back, The braid almost hangs in the end. You've just got to watch it carefully. Don't bring your rod tip, whip it round. I've seen it so often. People flick it up, rod tip in, and it's twisted round. And if you're fishing over really hard ground, the next thing is your lure hits the deck, you're fast and you've lost the lure. So just get in the habit of just putting your rod tip round slowly and letting the lure take all the slack line first. Oh, just had a knock. Yep, there's a fish. This feels a bit better. Yeah, this one's fighting a bit harder. And there's another one. Oh, slightly bigger. Quite a light colour. Nice, scrappy little fish. Where you go, fella. And straight away my cloth is wet and covered in pollock slime. But that's why we go fishing, isn't it? Our tide rip has actually just moved a little bit closer. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera. Just as the tide's changing, it's getting closer and closer. So I'm hoping that I can pick out whatever's. Oh, yep, we're into another. Oh, that's a better fish. There's no shortage of fish around here, that's for sure. You'll be wondering what I'm doing in a t-shirt because it's the 31st of October, believe it or not. Oh no, he hasn't pulled, he's pulled us in. There's a reef running down here, he's pulled us in behind it. I've got it. Sometimes when you get a fast hole like that, it's best to just give it some slack, and quite often the fish will pull you straight out. This isn't a bad fish. Oh yeah, he's fighting. It's just now that you've got to hope that oh, he's really going for it. I just want to give that a little bit of drag because it could be a bass, this. No, it's a pollock. It's not a bad one. I don't want to give him a chance to go into the rocks, but if he hasn't got a good hook hold, I'm just going to tire him a little bit. Pollock do, I mean, this one's given a really good account of itself, but pollock do tend to tire fairly quickly compared to a lot of fish. I can see it's got a pretty it's hooked in the top of the nose, so I might just have to do a little bit of rock acrobatics without going into the drink. Just bring up a little bit more line. Come here, come on. That's it. Whew. He's a pretty respectable pollock. Of course, the beauty of just get me right away. The beauty of these single hooks is that I've realised why he gives such a good account of himself. He's actually hooked, not in the mouth, the top of the nose. He's not a massive fish, he's probably what, a couple of pound, really good scrap. I was over here a little while ago catching bass, and the fight that the fish were putting up was incredible. I think they must just fatten themselves up for the winter. On mackerel, sprats, even probably not many lawns and sand. Well, there might be sandy, but high protein fish bait that they're predating on, and the strength and the power's incredible. That was a really good scrap for a pollock, that, so we'll get him back. Well, fishing all of about 10 minutes, 3 fish, one, fairly respectable one, so not complete. What I'm going to do, if we keep hitting pollock, is I'm going to change my lures a little bit. I'm probably going to put the top water on, just see if there's any bass lurking around the edges of these reefs. I think in this cast I'm just going to retrieve it fairly steadily, have maybe like half a dozen turns, and then occasionally just a big sink and draw, let it go back down, let it flutter through, and then just another half dozen turns. And often what you can find is you can feel the fish plucking at it and going for it. Tide rip, it's strange, there's almost some sort of back eddy because the rip is going from right to left, but my gear, my lure is getting pulled from left to right, which sort of suggests that it's flying off one of these reefs then doubling back on itself, which is all obviously pretty good because it's just all movement, it's all tide, and that's what attracts the fish. Well, fifth cast, and there must have been a higher bit of reef because I chucked it a little bit further to the left, started winding, there must have been a shallow pinnacle, bang, lost me leader and me lure. Quite like that seeker as well, I've had a few fish on it, but never mind, it comes with the territory when you're chucking metals into rocky areas. So I'm going to tie a new leader on, and this is the leader I use. It is Varavas hard top fluoro 0.405 diameter, so I'm guessing that's 22, 25, something like that. So I'm going to tie that on with an FG knot. And I think because I've had me fill of pollock, 3 pollocks enough for me. I'm not massively bothered about catching them, to be honest. I'm gonna have a little go with some soft plastics and then maybe something on the top and see if we can pull a bass out. What I do is pull off about 6-8 foot of braid whenever I've had a snag first, because you don't know if your line's pulled over some of these barnacles. Always just keep it safe, pull a little bit of braid off, obviously put the braid in your pocket, don't just leave it on the rocks, because the last thing you want is your next cast you hook into a decent fish and your braid snaps above the leader, all because you didn't take 10-15 seconds to check it. Really strong knot once you've mastered it. I use this for taupe fishing as well. Pull that tight and we're ready to go. Right, clip of choice for me. I've said on previous videos I've used all manner of different clips, and these breakaway mini clips. And it's nice and flat, so I'm gonna get on a pretty big top water tackle house vulture, 120, 20 gram. Flies like a rocket, and when the conditions are smooth you can just snake it over the top. Right, got these fingers of rock going out this way, so what I'm going to try and do initially, I'm going to cast sort of in line with them. I mean, my gear will get pulled around a little bit, and just see if there's any fish holding on either side of them. And if there is, because what they might be doing is just sitting in the lee of that tide, and hopefully if they see my lure coming up over the top of them, they might just think, yeah, I fancy a little go at that. So I was saying before, there's a bit of a back eddy going left to right, so what I'm doing, I'm just casting my lure left and then bringing my lure with the flow. So theory being, it might just look that little bit more natural if it's going the same direction as any bait fish coming over the top of these reefs. I'm going to be quite disciplined here because there is another mark that I want to try with that I have had bass before, so I'm going to fish here for probably another half an hour. There's a lovely bit of tide running through here. Right, what I'm also going to do, actually, the old favourite IMA Hound Glide 125, probably fishes to about a metre, so I've got to give a lure like this a crack for a little bit before I try some soft plastics, because It's a really, really lethal lure. Whoops, do not want to be doing that. I'd say if I could only have one bass lure to fish any conditions at any time, it would probably quite possibly be this lure. Because the beauty of this lure is you can fish it when it's flat, obviously, like I'm doing now. But if there's any surf running, which is obviously quite a good time to fish for bass at certain marks and locations, you can also fish it into a surf because it'll bite into it and it'll not just flick across the waves like some lures do that aren't really designed to be fished in the surf. Feed shallow, as you probably know if you watch the channel, really huge fan of it. Doesn't cast as well as this and not really a choppy water lure. And some lures require a little bit of kind of tweak and technique when you cast them in terms of the length of the drop and how hard you hit the cast, whereas these they'll just cast regardless. So they're not cheap. I don't know what they retail at now, probably knocking on 25 quid I would imagine. But they're well worth having in your armoury if you're serious about your bass fishing. My gut is telling us, well, as well as telling us that I'm hungry, is telling us that, I don't know, maybe just to move. That's the thing with bass fishing, if the fish ain't there, just move. You can't play the waiting game and hope that they'll swim past you, but taking a gamble. If you can cover ground, you're better off doing that. Something's just slammed that hound glide and it, oh yes, it is silver bar. I think he's just followed that in. Oh, he's really scrapping. He's not a bad fish. He's just nailed that hound glide. He's really, really pushing hard. Yep, it's a bass. It's a bass. Right. Try grab me net. Oh, God. Yes. Well, what was I saying about the hound glide? Absolutely brilliant lure. Right. Cloth is a very handy tool for fishing for bass. So there he is. Lovely, lovely, powerful fish. Are you going to put your fins up? Yes, he is. Happy with that. It's probably 2.5. Just slam that lure probably 10 yards out, not that far. And it just goes to show sometimes if you're after fish, use different lures and vary your depth, because that fish took probably, well, as deep as that lure can swim, 3 foot under. So if they are there, which they are, they might just be chasing something higher up. But anyway, lovely fish. That's what we came for. Happy with that. There's that fish. Bang, gone. Well, pleased with that. It shows that there's at least one bass just loitering around these reefs with the tide spilling over them, so let's see if there's any more. Time's up. We're moving somewhere else. Right, got to my next mark and there's a bit more There's a wee bit more swell than what I thought, so I'm going to go with a patch 140 instead of the 120, because the 120 just, it won't work the way I want it to in these conditions, so we need something a bit bigger, because I've got a bit of crosswind as well, and that 140 will just, it'll just cast a bit better into it, and it'll be a bit easier to control in this water. So let's give it a go, see if there's anything here. Yep, it's a bit more, there is a bit of westerly. I was pretty sheltered from it where I was before. Reasonable amount of colour in the water as well, which I don't mind at all. About an hour and 3/4 till bottom water, and the tide, as it approaches bottom water, will start to slacken, and inevitably that's when the fish will switch off. So I've probably got a window of maybe an hour and a quarter before that tide backs off a bit too much. It's 20 past, what time are we on? Yeah, 25 past 3. So fishing against the clock a bit, because sunset will be at 20 past 4ish. I'll probably lose all light by 5. Well, I've got a fish on the board obviously, so that's good, but what I might have to do, depending on how the surface lure performs, might have to stick a subsurface plug on, just something that'll bite into that little bit of chop and just create a little bit of subsurface vibration. Whoa, God, I've just seen a garfish or something come out of the water out there. Big, long, thin thing. See if I can pull someone out. I'm going to have half a dozen more casts with this, and if nothing happens, I'm going to go to a subsurface plug just while I've got a bit more depth, and then what I'll do once the tide drops a bit more, I'll go back to the surface lure. So if the fish are close and they've got less depth, then there's less volume of water above them for them to notice the lure, if that makes sense. No more splashes, so I'm going to one of my favourite lures, the Feed Shallow 105, 16 gram. It'll run just below the surface, put plenty of vibration out, and hopefully catch the eye or something. Well, it's just not happening. I had 3 splashes, so there's definitely fish there, but I'm just struggling to connect with them. I've probably got half an hour max of any semblance of light, so I'm going to have a couple more chucks for that patch 140, and then I'm going to put my tackle house 1-2 feed on. 1-2 feed, excuse me, 128 Feed Shallow. Oh, finally put the old faithful Feed Shallow on. Oh, and I've managed to catch one. Finally. Oh, no, that's a bloody pollock. It's not a bad pollock, actually, to be fair. It's a nice dark kelpie type pollock. See if I can wade back through here to show you. Oh, I'm just not sure that there's any bass kicking about out there now. Oh, it's getting right to the death now. It's best pollock of the day, mine. Dark fish. Lovely. Right on that Feed Shallow, that darker one. Fought very well for a pollock, to be fair to him, so we'll get him back and just see if we can get one more fish, but so far it's not looking great. Well, that's the end. It's 5:10, tides right on bottom water, there's no movement, totally slack. Thought when I got here and I had those couple of splashes, I might hit a couple of fish. Just wasn't to beat, there's just nothing there. I've been through all the lures, surface, subsurface, hard plastics, paddle tails. I cannot get a bite. Luckily I did get that one pollock, which was a fairly respectable fish to be fair, so I'm happy with that. But that's bass fishing for you. It teaches you, frustrates you and humbles you. One day you can fish a mark, can be jumping with fish, next day you go back, it's devoid. That's just the vagaries of nature, I suppose. Each day is different. There's a little bit touch more kind of swell than maybe what I would ordinarily catch fish in here. Can't get my words out. So yeah, one of those. It's all part of the little lessons for the black book, isn't it? To build your knowledge and experience and hopefully eliminate the amount of blanks you have. Did get a bass. I know what you're all thinking. It's probably, why did you move from your first mark? Yeah, good question. I don't know. Why did I? Should have stayed there, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. Hindsight's a beautiful thing, yeah. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks as always for watching and all your support. It is appreciated. Tight lines, keep fishing. We'll see you soon.